We have here a Ukrainian community represented. We have here people who are supporting Ukraine today. Not to waste now too much time, I would like to go directly to our honorable speakers. The first speaker is Anna Fotyga, a member of the European Parliament. You all know Ms. Fotyga. She represents Poland, and she is very warm friend of Promote Ukraine. Of Ukraine. Ms. Fotyga, we would like to hear your opinion on yesterday's and your emotions on yesterday's speech of Volodymyr Zelensky. We have heard you as well. Can you please tell us today what your feelings are today?
Good afternoon, dear friends. Well, needless to say that I and actually all Poles over political divisions surely here in the European Parliament stand by Ukraine, by Ukrainian people. We've just concluded the meeting of all Polish MEPs with the excellencies, ambassadors of Ukraine and Poland to the EU. And we were discussing ways, means to assist Ukraine both in their fight, in your fight against aggressor and in practical help or to ordinary people. I know that all of you are concerned about the fate of your families, but believe me, in my country, and I'm fully aware of this, actually every ordinary family is thinking about ways how to help. I've just talked to my son and me and my family particularly, but I know that your fate is simply perceived in strongest possible way by each and every ordinary Pole. So we monitor situation on daily basis, starting to wake up with running to news and thinking about how to improve the approach of international community. I think there is much progress. I'm absolutely sure that despite initial difficulties, now the will to act swiftly and to deter aggressor effectively and then bring perpetrators to justice, not just Putin. I know that Putin is not something to just diminish, or some phenomenon that should be diminished by, and I'm fully aware of the frightening state of his mind. But the West, collective West, and you are part of this, is now united as never before after the Second World, in the period after Second World War. And it is to some extent the situation of Ukraine and Ukrainian is a catharsis to the West. It's not sufficient, and I think that our role, the regional role in particular of your neighbors, knowing much better the situation, is to push, to accelerate, is to provide counteract to disinformation, because war disinformation is already there all over the world and all over Europe. We await voting in the UN General Assembly. I'm sure it will be successful, contrary to the Security Council But
If I may ask you a question, Ms. Fotega, what is the chance for Ukraine to be really to become a member of European Union as soon as possible? I mean to be a part of this accelerated procedure. I have many activists in Ukraine who have no time to read the news because they are preparing food for our army, and they ask me, Marta, what is the European Union? Can you please tell me? Okay, Parliament now accepted the what our president asked for, but what's next? What are the steps to be done? Can you please tell us your opinion on it? What is the chance for us?
it's not only talking about chance. I think there is a very fair possibility of success this time. But we have to.
We cannot hear. We cannot. So I'm sorry, we cannot hear. Can someone please do something with the sound?
I hear you. Do you hear me?
1 second. 1 second. Can you please try again?
Do you hear me now?
Not so well.
Do you?
I don't speak.
Maybe closer, yes.
I close
Where
my.
is her microphone?
Yes, it's something with our microphone.
Can
I speak from my office, so it should be good.
no, now it's good. It's good. It's okay. You can continue, please. Sorry, continue.
I think that it is not only chance. I'm absolutely sure that this time we succeed. It's not the end of pressure, and it requires pressure, but I see that momentum is there, and there is real possibility, and things are to accelerate. It's visible already. I wouldn't like to define the path. Many of you know the administrative barriers but that are there. But there is also political will in exceptional situations, and we consider it exceptional situation. I think that more and more the political will is there.
Another question I have for you. We yesterday heard the president of the European Parliament say that the war crimes of Putin and Lukashenko will be investigated. Who is going to launch the investigations? Do you know more about it?
Well, it's Ukraine feeling that already presented this document. I think it was Monday. So yesterday, no, it's Wednesday today. I'm sorry, it's so quick this week. We are so much focused on things. So on Monday, the request was already presented to ICC, International Criminal Court. Actually, myself, I was also involved some time ago in submitting documents on Russian war crimes in Crimea and eastern part of Ukraine earlier, and there are documents. I think that there is fair chance in our resolution, European Parliament resolution. It was not only President of the Parliament, whole European Parliament voted on this, on bringing Putin and others to justice, because it is not only Putin. There are war crimes perpetrated now by regular elite regular forces of Russian Federation on Ukrainian territory. It's not just vague allegation. It is obvious and well-documented thing. There are many civilians and rocket strikes on purpose being launched on housing sites. So things are pretty obvious.
Thank you for that. And the last question from me, you are chair of the European Parliament Security and Defense Subcommittee, is that right?
No, it is not.
It's not anymore.
been a chair during 5 years of previous legislature, and under my chairmanship, it was for the first time when the European Parliament official delegation visited eastern part of Ukraine.
But as a specialist on defense matters, there is a burning question from Ukrainians, and it's maybe a bit provocative, but I will ask it. Ukrainians are asking to close the sky from NATO. How much chances do we have to have NATO close the sky or national states to close the sky? Is there any possibility of compromise? Because I understand it's a declaration of war, but is there any compromise that can be done from the side of NATO, like something that they can do for us that they don't do for other people who are not, or for other states that are not members of NATO?
Well, I honestly speaking, I know there is in NATO unanimity is needed in this, and certainly there is no consent to this kind of actions as of today. But surely there is much progress, and states, members individually, allies, members of NATO and members of the EU started to provide large numbers of equipment that allows Ukraine to effectively combat threats coming from the air. You know that even recent yesterday's consignments, what was delivered to Ukraine, allow to really effectively strike, and those here individual allies and also my homeland assist Ukraine in providing this kind of capabilities, military capabilities to know. I remember beginning of discussions and discussions with some important NATO allies that were against this. Now it is over. It's European Union buying equipment that is defensive, but of course, but very sophisticated defensive, very modern means to combat. It was the way to act as no unanimity in NATO on other measures.
Thank you for your opinion, and I would like to ask the audience whether there is a question for Ms. Fotyga. Yes, Andrea.
Yeah, I I have a question about something that I read this morning on Euroactive, and since we have a Polish representative, I wanted to ask if there are more information about that, because Euroactive reported that President Duda said that it will be impossible for Poland to export any kind of aviation equipment. So I want to know if this news reported today is true, or if there is any other way to support the aviation of Ukraine.
Well, I'm not aware of a statement of President Duda. Sorry, I've been engaged whole time with activities in the European Parliament, all of them related to Ukraine. So, but on this, it is much better to ask simply representatives or submit a request to press office. I cannot because I'm not aware of this statement, not yet. But as you know, probably Poland is a hub of delivery of what is possible. It is delivered through Poland by all partners. There is no other actually effective way to do this. So I think that what we do also in this respect is probably what we can do.
Andrea,
Thank
do
you.
have a question? I have a question. Oh, no, the question comes from Gary. So please.
Madam Fatiga, is the microphone working? Madam Fatiga, thank you very much for joining us. We know that you've been, for a long time, a very vocal critic of not Russia, but of the Putin regime. But your criticism is always balanced and well-informed. It's why I, as a journalist, tend to go to you as a bit of a reference. I'm always kind of looking at how you react to certain issues. But what I really wanted to ask about is the issue of migration and refugee status for Ukrainians. Prior to this event, I've been asking around Ukrainian friends and others and asking, you know, what do you know about this? Nobody seems to know what the situation is, although they're promised by Ursula von der Leyen that there would be the ability for refugee status. But my real question is, Poland was very hostile to the wave of migrants coming from Belarus. Now, we understand the reasons for that, and I wouldn't criticize Poland for this, but could you reassure our Ukrainian friends and families that the reception that they receive in Poland will be appropriate with their circumstances? Because at the moment, what I'm hearing is uncertainty and fear, and anything that worries people at a time like this is going to be blown up. And of course, they are very, very worried. Please, can you reassure everybody that your neighbors will be well received when they arrive in Poland?
Can I ask your name? Sorry.
Gary Cartwright from EU Today.
Oh, thank you. That is good. First, let me start from the very beginning and devote a moment to Belarus, Polish-Belarusian border. You probably know, as you are a journalist, that it was a campaign launched, instigated by Putin, by Kremlin and Russian Federation. Actually, in my private opinion, that's my opinion, already the beginning of tensions created in whole Central and Eastern Europe to turn attention from Ukraine and from what they decided to do later in Ukraine. It was made and perpetrated on purpose with Belarusian secret service going to and through all over the world to countries of origin of migration in Africa. Of course, Afghanistan was there to encourage eventual migrants by, well, they paid quite heavy price for orchestrated, well-prepared official flights to Minsk. And they appeared on Belarusian territory officially on tourist status, and they were launched by official means of Belarusian transportation operated by Belarusian secret service to unofficial crossing sites on Polish-Belarusian border, not applying for refugee status because they wanted to sneak to Western Europe. All refugees from Belarus, Belarusians fleeing from suppression of the regime, Lukashenko regime, were welcome in Poland, granted refugee status. There are thousands of Belarusians after violence launched by Lukashenko against Belarusian society. So what you talk about Poland being so hostile is not true. That's first. Second thing, there are around 1 million of Belarusians, in my opinion more, in every household you can find some links to Belarusians nowadays. They are in offices, in hospitals, in shops, not as clients, but working, officially working in Poland. And during 7 days of war, almost 500,000. 500,000. It's much more than 400,000 Ukrainians were accepted to Poland only. There are 9 reception sites during first 3 days. So today, the statement was made by official statement that at least 300,000 did not need official facilities because they were taken by already existing friends, families of Ukrainian nationality living in Poland and taking them directly from border to their place of living. Ordinary people prepare, including, as I say, my son having 4 children and being very, and myself, my family, every family. We are not just alone. We simply think our host, because there is priority given, and therefore media and now a variety of media announcement. No selection of nationality, but that is obvious that predominantly unaccompanied children, we officially evacuate children from orphanages, from Kharkiv, there are Polish NGOs doing this with support of the government. I think that it is obvious that they have precedents before, let's say, 20-year-olds young male of other, let's say, students who want to flee Ukraine. That is more than obvious, but we do not select. Of course, they are checked. It is easier for Ukrainians because we have a free visa regime that was fought for quite a long time, among others by Poland within EU to have this. Students of other origin, from other places in the world, have to be screened simply. That's obvious. I hope all of you understand this. Of course, they are allowed. They have been already allowed. They are not satisfied because they would like to be proceeded like wounded people eventually, some of them, and they feel a complaint. By the way, some of them represent countries that vote in favor of Russian Federation in the UN. So that's the end of my answer.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other questions for Ms. Fotyga? Yes, please.
Thank you, Willy Fotyga, Human Rights Without Frontiers. I've seen on the several TV channels in Western Europe that some non-Ukrainians were not allowed to go into Poland when they were at the border. Is it on the side of Ukraine or on the side of Poland that this happened? And what sort of communication do you have between your border guards and the Ukrainian border guards about such issues? There was even a British citizen, but mainly African students from Kiev.
I haven't heard this kind of incident. As I say, there is screening. Whether it is a British citizen, there is no problem probably. Simply screening this. As I say, there is bombing, there are wounded people, they have precedents, there is evacuation of kids, there is a hospital train going to and through. There is very close cooperation. Simply, in almost every case, unanimity between Polish and Ukrainian. So I wouldn't like to indicate where is problem, because whenever problem, they act together. And you may listen to whatever media you wish, but certainly, as I say, when you have rocket bombing, and you have to choose whether you now proceed with a lady and wounded kid, for example, it is our common culture, both Ukrainian and Polish, that you give precedence to this lady with wounded kid rather than to 20-year-old male, whatever origin.
Thank you so much. I think, yes, we have one more question for you. It will be the last one, and then we go to the next speaker.
Christophe Leclerc. I'm the founder of the Euractiv Media Network, present also in Central Europe, including Poland, but I speak here as a private citizen. I have a sensitive question about the context for possible negotiations in the future. Clearly, Ukraine is winning in terms of information, in terms of politics, thanks to the declaration, to the vote yesterday by the parliament, and also likely in terms of justice. But there is also the military situation. And I wonder if the wins on the one side are helping on the other side. In other words, are we leaving an escape route for the Russian regime, or are we forcing them to continue their military actions in a way? It's a difficult question. I'm not a military expert, but I wonder what is the escape route for them? Thanks.
Well, we'll think about probably thinking about escape routes is for whoever is to rule Russian Federation is my second thought. First is how to simply stop atrocities, stop bombing, stop this kind of action. And well, I think that you've been able to see with your own eyes the manifestation of goodwill of the collective West. It was simply a cue of European world leaders giving Russian Federation, Russian leadership possibility to back off, to find a diplomatic path. Actually, you know very well that Russian blackmail is much broader than Ukraine. They started in Ukraine willing to destroy this country, to destroy every aspiration of this country. So now it is simply we use the strongest possible ways of deterring the country. We know that there are ordinary Russians protesting. But unfortunately, there are still countries somehow influenced by Kremlin, by Russian Federation, and willing to still to support Russia. Now we have, with really heaviest sanctions, and our role is to make those sanctions real and effective and really working, because we know that whenever applied, and applied honestly with goodwill and resolutely, they do work. Because you already probably heard, as I did, that there are oligarchs refusing to support Putin already, and frightened by the scope of actions. So we have really to tighten this grip nowadays, because in my opinion, time for negotiations, like we proposed on positive terms, so encouraging Russia, trying to argue with Russia, eventually trying to attract Russia to some solution, for a time being is over. Now we have to effectively deter Russia and make decision makers to stop. And also ordinary soldiers, and that is visible, because you know, as I listened also in Poland to expertise saying that, okay, within few hours things are to be ended. The force of Russian army, Russian Federation army is so big, huge, prevailing, then it was probably to be a matter of hours to simply stamp on Ukraine. We have 7th day. And of course, there are military successes. I wouldn't deny this. But resistance of Ukrainians is unbelievable. And I myself told this publicly, officially, to Polish media in, I count, it was the 3rd hour of Russian aggression. That the West, in this case, Ukraine, is to win. Because I know determination of Ukrainians in this, in defending, having their own country. And Russian forces, some of them were not even aware of going to kill their brothers.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fotyga, that you joined us. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for the questions. We go to the next speaker. We hope we have him online. Dmytro Levus. Dmytro, are you with us? Okay.
I'm here. Так,
Do you speak English or you need it? Вам потрібен переклад?
Да, звичайно. Ми ж про це говоримо.
Хтось може перекладати?
Да. Так, можемо говорити?
Так, зараз хвилиночку, до нас підійде перекладач, буде переклад. Ми будемо разом допомагати, якщо треба.
Добре.
Дмитро, я пропоную так, ви говоріть по реченню. Речення,
Так,
і тоді
звичайно.
Яна, та Яна, тобі так буде ліпше.
Ну, декілька речень.
Або
обов'язково
декілька
перед-
речень будемо робити.
Мгм.
Головне, щоб не
підсумок.
швидко.
Так, прошу.
Да. Доброго дня всім. Я говорю безпосередньо з Києва. Безпосередньо в 700 метрах від мого будинку впала ракета на другу ніч вторгнення. Це не Позняка.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? So I'm talking to all of you from Kyiv today. And actually, just not very far away from me, 700 minutes away from my building, a rocket fell down, was launched.
І знаєте, я би хотів про що поговорити. Зараз уже зрозуміло, що бліцкриг Путіна не вдався. Як зауважила пані Фотига, опір українського війська, він є неймовірним.
So what I would like to tell you today, to all of you. So as it is now clear, the initial plan of Putin to have a blitzkrieg and capture Ukraine on the first day didn't materialize, and the Ukrainian army is resisting and fighting back.
Але сталися цілком очікувані речі. З огляду на те, що Російська Федерація, як висловився міністр оборони України Резніков, усвідомила, що не може воювати з озброєними українцями, вона почала застосовувати масований терор до цивільного населення.
But because blitzkrieg didn't happen and the Ukrainians are resisting, what is now also obvious to all of us is that Russia has changed its tactics. So they understood they cannot so easily fight our military men. So they decided to instead target our civilians.
Це було очікувано. Подібні речі ми вже бачили в інших кампаніях, які проводила Російська Федерація.
So actually, we have seen this before, Russia doing this before in other campaigns and in other countries. So we could have foreseen this.
І ми всі, думаю, побачили, як нещодавно був підданий ударом реактивними системами ГРАД Харків, як після цього була піддана ударом ракет площа Свободи, як була розбомблена Бородянка, як були застосовані вакуумні бомби в Охтирці.
So you probably have seen this horrible pictures coming out from Kharkiv, where a whole town, city center, a city hall, a city square, a main city square, and the buildings nearby were completely destroyed in a vicious attack by a very heavy artillery. And also in another town called Okhtirka, the Russians also used a very powerful bomb.
Взагалі бачимо зараз уже певну символічність. В Харкові був нанесений удар по площі Свободи, у Києві удар був нанесений по телецентру, який знаходиться в Бабиному Яру. Бабин Яр – місце, де одне з найстрашніших місць, де нацисти влаштовували Холокост.
And one could even try to actually see some meanings to where the Russians are actually deciding to target. So in Kharkiv, they actually targeted the Freedom Square. And in Kyiv, they actually targeted a TV tower that is actually located on in the place where a lot of Jewish people were murdered during the Second World War. So the Babin Yar is the name of this place.
Тобто ми бачимо, що реальними цілями і для Російської Федерації є і свобода, по якій наноситься удар, та пам'ять. Пам'ять про жертви нацизму. Тобто вся ця риторика про боротьбу з нацизмом – це насправді просто-напросто маскування своїх злочинів аналогічного штибу.
So we actually see that the Russians are targeting the freedom, and they're also targeting our memory, and all of this rhetorics, and actually it's a propaganda, and the narratives that they have about the past and about blaming Ukrainians so-called for being Nazis is actually is completely flawless, and it's in fact the reverse is happening.
Так само путінський режим продемонстрував своє ставлення до ядерної безпеки всього світу. Ми не будемо говорити про погрози, які видає путінський режим, ми просто подивимось на практику путінського вторгнення в Україну.
We could also now look into actually how Putin is approaching and treating the whole nuclear sort of underlying systems that exist in the world, and what he actually thinks about this sort of nuclear world order, so to say.
Вторгнення в Україну з території Білорусі відбувалося через територію Чорнобильської зони та із захопленням Чорнобильської станції, де захоплені заручники її співробітники.
So actually, when the invasion happened quite instantly, was Chernobyl power plant was a target, and it was taken over by the Russians in a very dangerous operation that puts at risks millions of people, and also there was fighting taking place. Fighting was taking place in Chernobyl.
Внаслідок цього вторгнення вже було зафіксовані зміни в радіаційному фоні. Тобто танки загарбників зруйнували верхній шар ґрунту, вони самі пересувалися небезпечними стежинами та дорогами, і після цього був знищений інтернет-кабель, який передає дані автоматичних цих станцій.
And actually, we already see a spike in the radiation, and for a number of reasons. So first of all, of course, when the Russians were coming in from Belarus in their tanks, they were coming in the areas that are actually not supposed to be sort of touched, because there is a radiation that is still there on the ground, and Russians not knowing where are these paths that you could take, and being completely oblivious to the dangers around there, have actually caused this certain spike. And also what's even more dangerous and threatening is the fact that they have cut the cable that was actually communicating the sort of all of the levels of radiation and other things from Chernobyl. So a sort of a monitoring of the situation there is not sort of, it becomes more difficult now with them controlling the area.
На півдні так само під загрозою перебуває Запорізька атомна електростанція.
And also we have in Zaporizhia in the south, which is also now under another nuclear power plant, which is under threat now.
Ще одна проблема пов'язана, гуманітарна проблема пов'язана з цим вторгненням Російської Федерації, це боротьба з українською культурою та українською історією.
And of course, another target is also Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian history.
Зокрема, оскільки вторгнення відбувається в тому числі через Чернігівщину, це Гетьманщина, так би мовити, серцевина української історичної держави, там відбуваються дуже трагічні речі.
So also the invasion is happening through a region called Chernihiv region, and this is really a heartland of Ukrainian nation, and there are like tragic things that are also happening there in this region now.
Зокрема, був спалений в Іванкові музей, в якому перебували картини всесвітньо відомої народної мисткині Марії Приймаченко. Зараз є інформація, що ніби картини вціліли, але однозначно, оскільки ці дії були цілеспрямованими, це злочин.
So I can personally say that we were all very upset because when we heard that actually a house of an artist, of a naive artist, Maria Primachenko, was destroyed, completely destroyed by the Russians, and we thought that also all of her artwork was destroyed by them. Now it's a little bit unclear. There are hopes maybe that some of the artwork has survived, but in any case, the fact that they were targeting this historical, cultural heritage of high importance for the country is already a crime in itself.
Так само є ще один приклад. Наприклад, зруйнована садиба лизогубів в Седнєві на тій же території.
А можете трохи пояснити, що це таке, що це за садиба?
Є місто Седнів, да, там в Седневі, там є така садиба лизогубів, і вона теж пограбована, це музей. Ну і, до речі, не зрозуміло, що з Тростянцем, ну, тобто, ну, давайте так, що можемо сказати, що є Седнів, він там зруйнований, і є ще кілька подібних прикладів, не будемо вже так.
So, and there is another example of also sort of a house, I mentioned a heritage, also a national heritage and historical heritage that has been destroyed. And these are just some of the examples because there are more, unfortunately, more examples.
І на цьому тлі повідомлення, які з'явилися про можливість ракетного удару по об'єкту, який перебуває в списку ЮНЕСКО, по собору Софія Київська, не виглядають уже чимось неможливим.
And now when we hear threats that one of our UNESCO World Heritage sites in Kiev, it's a church in Kiev, Sofia Kievska, is going to be bombed by the Russians anytime soon. Now we understand that, yeah, this can happen.
Тому що фактично путінський режим є спадкоємцем більшовицького режиму, який практикував злочини як носили характер геноциду, так і знищення матеріальних, культурних пам'яток, ну і абсолютно не переймався здоров'ям навіть свого особового складу, якщо згадати про дії їхніх військових в Чорнобильській зоні.
Well, and maybe this is also probably the fact that they are ready to do these horrible things is also shouldn't be surprising because they are descendants of the regime that was not only killing people through actions of the genocide and also other horrible actions that have taken place throughout the history of also during the communist time. So nothing is surprising that that this is just a continuation of something that we have already seen in history in the past.
Тому наразі, як на мене, постає проблема подальшого покарання як представників верхівки путінського режиму в майбутньому, так і безпосередніх виконавців та тих, хто планував усі ці зазначені дії.
So now the question is of punishment of not only Putin but also of his close circle and the people that were involved in the planning and execution of the crimes against Ukraine.
Як на мене, відповідне попередження і доведення до росіян їхньої майбутньої відповідальності може зменшити певним чином їхнє бажання коїти злочини в Україні.
If we make it more clear to them and realistic also the consequences of the punishments, maybe they will be less willing to commit the kind of crimes that they are committing now.
Сподіватися на те, що вони самі це усвідомлюють, ми ніяк не можемо, бо допити полонених росіян в тому числі і офіцерського складу, демонструють те, що вони вважають себе вільними від відповідальності з огляду на те, що у них є наказ, і, по-друге, вони не надто розвинуті, щоб усвідомлювати свої дії.
For the moment, we see that the Russians that are being taken, prisoners of war, that are being taken prisoners of war, and where the interviews are conducted, they don't quite understand or admit that they are at fault there. They were given orders, and they don't really understand fully well. At least many of them don't. The criminal actions of the Russian government.
Тож потрібна чітка позиція світового співтовариства і з відповідним доведенням до всієї Росії про відповідальність, яка неодмінно настане.
So indeed, the whole world needs to make it very clear to the Russian people, first and most of all, that there will be consequences, that the consequences and serious consequences and the punishment is also coming for the actions that are for the horrible actions that are being carried out now.
Ну і в цьому контексті і Європі, і світу треба готуватися до того, яким буде життя після закінчення цієї війни, та що можна буде сконструювати на територіях, які наразі займає Російська Федерація. Бо цілком зрозуміло, там можуть початися внаслідок краху путінського режиму різноманітні процеси.
So in fact, Europe and the world should be preparing now for what's coming after the war is over and the Putin will be gone. And the new processes will be launched in Russia, which in itself can be dangerous in itself, sort of Russia falling apart. So yeah, this is the West should be preparing for.
Це питання ядерної зброї, яку потрібно вилучити. Це питання небезпечних виробництв. Це питання можливих етнічних зіткнень. Ну і головне, не варто чіплятися за збереження саме Російської Федерації в тому форматі, як воно існує. Нічого страшного не буде, якщо на території цієї країни виникне кілька повноцінних, життєздатних державних або федеративних чи конфедеративних проєктів, на кшталт Ідель-Урал, наприклад, чи інших республік.
So indeed, there will be, so the questions, once the Russia starts falling apart, the questions of the nuclear, the need to remove nuclear weapons from Russia, all the other kind of dangerous chemical and other weapons that the Russians will have to be taken care of. We shouldn't want to try to preserve Russia the way it is now. Its destiny is to break apart and to have a more proper nations arise in Russia's place, a more democratic and proper nations.
Тобто, принаймні, цю можливість вже треба вводити дискурс, аби не виявилося так, що Європа та світ не готові до нової реальності.
At least we should be able to speak about this possibility now. So when it actually happens, Europe and the West are not surprised.
Ну, в принципі, от на цьому все поки що.
So this is it for now.
Thank you so much, Dmytro, for your such detailed perspective. Thank you, Yana, for helping us out with the translation. We are now going to listen to Razvan Hoinaru. He's a former advisor of European Parliament, now university lecturer, and he's now in Romania. We would like to hear his perspective on refugees, on Ukrainian refugees in Romania now. Razvan, are you with us?
Hello, yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we don't see you, and I don't know on whom it. Yeah, now we can hear you and see you.
Okay,
Yes.
now you can see me as well. Well, I can hear you in very low volume. I try to adjust that. So, well, perspective on refugees. I currently just done a study for one MEP on the economics of migration and brain drain. Well, I had no clue this thing with Ukraine is going to happen. Otherwise, I would have included it in my study. Well, what's happening now in Romania is that we received 100,000 refugees. We understood that there are some problems at the Ukrainian border. Sometimes men, they're not allowed to leave the country, and other refugees that want to escape the country are being asked for money by the Ukrainian border control. This may well be propaganda, maybe reality. People are desperate. We can't possibly check on that. What's very interesting is that half of the Ukrainians that actually came to Romania are entering our country up north at the border, and they're that scared. They don't want to stay in that area. They are scared Russia will invade. So they are doing their best to either go to Bucharest or actually go further down south, Greece, Italy, other developed and civilized Western countries. So we received 100,000 of them, and we currently already lost about half. 2 days ago, the first ones arrived in Bucharest, and they're very happy and relieved to be here. Romanian people are helping in multiple layers. I know NGOs that send supplies. I know private citizens that are waiting for the migrants at the border to host them, to give them something. Sometimes people, they are scared because they don't speak English, they don't speak Romanian or French, they only speak Ukrainian and Russian. So when they see 5 Romanians just bumping into them and telling, come to my home, they are scared and a bit reluctant. That really shows the degree that they are in. I'm also a political activist for one of the political parties here. I won't give the name. And our local branch, that is average in size, just collected 6 tons of food supplies, clothing, and personal hygiene items. And that's only just one random political party branch here in Bucharest. So we're massively providing things for refugees. We are happy to welcoming them. We also have about 300,000 jobs that are unfulfilled in Romania. And in a way, can't say we are happy they are here, but we are happy they are here. I mean, you understand the nuance here.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Yeah, thank you for a testimony. We also receive here a lot of like from Promote Ukraine. We receive hundreds of messages of Belgians. Just want to share this with you. I think it's in every country now of Europe happening, that people are opening their doors to Ukrainians. We receive proposals, offers for the schools, that people are willing to help to accept children in the schools directly, not to let them wait long, and also proposing jobs and things like that. So really, it's really very nice and kind from Europeans to offer this help. I would like to ask the audience whether we have questions for our speaker about refugees, anything, any comments? Gary?
I actually have a question. Raz, it's good to see you. It's been a while. We've known each other for many a year. actually. And looking forward to your return to Brussels, which I think is imminent. The question that I've got really is concerning the availability of knowledge when it comes to migration and to the refugee status. Nobody seems to know. This is really the question that I asked to our MEP earlier. How do you feel about that? I mean, you know how the EU works. You know, you've read all this legislation. You've read all of the announcements. You kind of know what's behind it. Are you clear in your mind as to what the EU is offering when it says up to 3 years refugee status, no questions asked? Have you managed to work it out? Because I haven't.
No, I think Romania is not good yet with refugees, because normally we are not a country that hosts refugees, and refugees normally don't think of coming here unless a desperate situation like it is this one. We are good with migration though. A Romanian flies off Romania for good every 6 hours. We are the fastest growing diaspora in the world. We are currently losing, and we've lost that over this last 7 years, an average of 200,000 Romanians per year. So we know what it means to leave a country, and in Romania there was no war. Romanians, they just fed up with political corruption and the economic status of the country. So we don't really have experience with refugees, but we have experience with migration because we experienced it ourselves going into West, like I went 15 years ago and then got back to Romania and possibly live again. So I think there is a center over there at the border informing them about their rights. But I'm not sure if we like to call them refugees because that's a bad word. Maybe we'll call them migrants or expats because it's a more civilized term to use.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are now jumping to a next speaker, James Wilson. James, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
And I believe you can see me too.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just have one or two questions really to put to the panel. I don't necessarily have the answers. The first question is, obviously, the top priority has to be to stop the war. It's stating the obvious, but it's much easier to start a war than to stop it, as we've seen in North Korea, where war was declared in the 1940s, and they're still at it. No peace has been declared. But as a generation, we are failing our children. The next generation are having to suffer the plague of the coronavirus, the disaster of climate change, and now war, a war that affects all of us. We're all in the democratic free world 100% in support of Ukraine. But the risk is that our next generation is suffering. The longer this goes on, it's going to ruin their whole lives. We have to stop it somehow. Now, in this connection, Europe has a huge amount of weaponry that can be delivered to Ukraine. But my question is this: is there some kind of central procurement agency? I have contacts with one or two firms who have stock and are very happy to supply it to Ukraine. Automatic weapons, grenade launchers, but who's coordinating it? So if someone could direct me to the right agency to speak to, then I believe we can get some of these weapons to Ukraine faster, with the objective of helping to stop the war before it progresses for too long. My second question is directed at the members of the press, and perhaps my good friend Dimash Kurko might have some answers here. There is a huge gap in the communications being issued by the Ukrainian media and the international media here in the West, which don't get me wrong, it's fact-based, it's very powerful, very distressing. But if you switch to the communications being broadcast in Moscow and in Russia, you might be on another planet. They are being fed complete and utter propaganda and lies. And one of the ways to stop this war is to inform the Russian people about what's going on. Nobody in their right mind wants a war, and certainly Russian parents don't, I'm sure, but they're starved of the information. They simply do not know what's going on. How do we get these messages into Russian households so that they can see for themselves the crimes and atrocities that are being committed in the name of this 2020 Führer? And then my last appeal, again to members of the press, is we must, as a collective body, journalists, push and force home as much as we can the need for all Western countries to be equally generous in offering Ukrainians fleeing their home the opportunity to enter and stay in the countries without any visas, without any needs to go through refugee status. Now, some countries are being very generous, but not all. And I would like to single out for criticism my own country, the United Kingdom. This doesn't apply to Scotland, but we're hamstrung by the government in Westminster. The minister responsible for immigration is Priti Patel. Now, she is from a family of East Asian extraction from Uganda, and her family was rescued by the British government from the evil dictator Idi Amin in Uganda, and her family came in and was welcomed with open arms by the British government at that time. I find it absolutely inconceivable that she is being less generous to the Ukrainian people than the treatment that she received when she entered the UK. So I would urge my colleagues in the press corps to fight this corner for the Ukrainian people and encourage all governments, all countries to be equally generous in dealing with the young people and the old people too, who are trying to flee this invasion. So those are my 3 points.
Thank you. I let Dmytro answer the question that.
Is it working? Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for that opportunity to present some kind of position. I'm proudly wearing a Ukrainian flag, but you understand that I'm not representing all the Ukrainian people. But as Ukrainian, I can express some thoughts and ideas and feelings which we could have. So that, James, thank you so much for that question, and answering to your question concerning the European assistance to military assistance to Ukraine. Yesterday it was announced that there in EU will be created some kind of clearing agency, which will be coordinating all the supplies from all the member states, and including the expenditures of those 500 million euro for military and non-military supplies. So that is, in short, to the answer to your first question. Concerning the Russian propaganda, I can say you some kind of a personal story. As we now, all Ukrainians are badly sleeping at night because we all are under the stress. So this night we have got with my wife the conversation with her sister who is living in Russia. And he said, oh, what is going on? It's a horrible situation. People are dying there. And I am just curious how those Russian troops will separate Nazi from the rest of the population. We were stressed together with my wife. I said to her, to her sister, look, if you want to separate Nazi, please look at us. We are Nazi that Russia propaganda is speaking about. Do you personally consider us as a Nazi? You know, this is a tragedy because there are very deep ties between Ukrainian and Russian people, in fact. And right now, the entire families are broken down. And this is a real tragedy. So that right now, this is some kind of a hypnosis which all Russian entire population are living under. And the phenomena in that regard is that they don't want to go out, because the picture we will discover after that will be so horrible that we will not survive that picture. And you know, that is exactly the point, because when we starting to speak to the sister of my wife and saying, okay, we can inform you, and you need to make an active position, because everything depends from now from Russian people. If they will change something inside Russia, the war would be over. She said, just, I don't want to even think about that, so that they prefer to isolate themselves from the state, but it is not a solution. Another issue, you said how to let them know about the events that's going on. First, they still have an internet, so they see all the pictures of the prisoners of war and all the victims of the Russian populations have. It's another part of the strategy, because you need to know, and the representative of press need to know, that according to the official data, today we have already above 6,000 Russian soldiers killed in the land of Ukraine. Unfortunately, 2,000 soldiers were killed on the Ukrainian side. But still, for Russian forces, this is unprecedented losses. Because if we remember, for example, the Afghan war, for almost 10 years, 9.5 years, Soviet troops lost around 17,000 soldiers, right, for almost 10 years. Right now, they are losing approximately 1,000 each day. So that there will be like 10 days, and all the troops now concentrated on our borders will be just disappeared. And we are speaking only about the data which is coming from the Ukrainian side. There are some kind of mobile crematorium now working in Crimea Peninsula just to hide the Russian losses from the Russian people. That is a very interesting thing because it is not an insider information. It's absolutely official comments made by our delegation came recently to the negotiations with Russian. One of the questions we raised, how to return the bodies of the killed Russian soldiers to Russian government, just to bury them with an honor, and how to pass back to Russian government the prisoners of war, which are thousands already now in Ukraine. And you can imagine that Russian delegations refused to do that, so that they did not want even to hear that there are some killings on Ukrainian soil. And their official propaganda, this is absolutely amazing thing, because it is my job sometimes to hear their news. They are lying totally. And you know, this is a purely Goebbels principle. If lie is so huge, it is easily could be believed. They simply cannot imagine that they are lied in such a scale. So right now they are feeling the already sequences of this, how to say, misinformation, because right now they have absolutely real results of the Western sanctions. They feel that the rubles are inflating, that they are losing in their well-being, and all the plans they have before, even a week ago, they are broken to the dust. So that I believe personally that they already starting to realize what's going on with them and with their country. As absolutely rightly representative of European Union mentioned, trying to broke the Ukraine and its culture and heritage, not Russia even, but President Putin broke the future of his own country. It is like that. If I'll be in short. Excuse me, apologize for maybe some inconveniences, but I'm mainly writing, not speaking. Thank you.
Dima, could I just come back to you with a question again, please? James here. This morning, Alexei Navalny, from his prison cell in Russia, has urged Russians to come out on the streets and to continue to protest against the war. And when they come out and they're arrested, he wants 2 more people to come out and protest until they're arrested, until all of the prisons in Russia are full of people demonstrating for an end to the war. Do you think this appeal will reach the hearts and minds of the Russian people?
I cannot say nothing about what is in mind and hearts of Russian people, but I can only imagine that there are some, mental and cultural differences. For example, in there where Ukrainians will be fighting, where will be, Russian will be waiting for something. I don't know what, maybe a good spirit of their government or change their mind. The government changed their mind and to improve their life. This is watershed, because when Ukraine, people more and more taking their own responsibilities on their own shoulders. for our own lives. But the very deep tradition of Tsarist Russia was that everything is decided in the government, that the leader decide everything and he bear all the responsibility for. And that is exactly making the situation there in Russia now so dramatic. Because I admire Russian people who now are coming and protesting, because they have a double maybe courage to do that, because they know how cruel and how brutal is the repression machine of repression in the Russian Federation. But exactly those people, maybe it's 10%, maybe 25%, I don't know how many of them, but I believe that each and every day, that number of the people who are not agreed with the policies of Mr. Putin will be increasing. And I can say you that it is a very tragic events, because Ukrainian people don't want any unfortunate fate, for example, for Russian soldiers, for no one of them. But if they invade, they will be coming there and they have no other way but die and go home as a body. And Russian people will be feeling that pain, and maybe that pain will wake them up, because it's their children. You need to look to the official recording. This is a young, absolutely conscript who were forced to sign the contract. It is a absolutely military crime itself, because they just brought under the fire absolutely unexperienced soldiers. That's why they have no chance at all to win that fight. Ukraine will prevail in that war, and nobody here in Europe should have any doubt about that. And I can say you more. I have spent, before coming here, like a journalist, I was called to the armed forces. I was serving in some kind of public relations department. And it was not a combat unit, in fact, but still I was coming regularly to the front line. And I saw these people, I saw the eyes of these people, so that you can imagine that these blue and yellow flag was in their eyes. You know, they are not victims, they are fighters, and they will prevail. I know that for sure, because I saw all that in their hearts. Is that correct, James? You know Ukrainian people, I believe, as well as I do.
I have full confidence that Ukrainian soldiers and Ukrainian people will never give in to fear. They will never give up, and that Russia has no chance whatsoever of winning a fight. They will not. Ukraine will win. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. We have here a person, Vitaly, who would like to share his testimony. Today he lost a member of family because of the war. Would you like to say a few words?
Раз. Добрий день. Я сам з Києва, живу тут в Брюсселі, мої діти в Україні, в Києві. Сьогодні мені повідомили, що мою тьотю вбили гради російські з-під Гостомеля. Вона живе район Нивки, біля Беркутів.
Today I was told, my children, I live here, my children are in Ukraine, in Kiev, but my aunt, I was told today, she was killed by the missiles in near Гостомель. She's from Nivki.
Рядом з Гостомелем, да, це район Берковці, це цвинтар, і там дачний район, виїзд з Києва
Yeah, so
на
it's just on the corner of like around
недалеко
Kyiv,
аеродром Антонова, завод
not far
Антонова.
from the Antonov aerodrome. Yeah.
Да, і вони сьогодні спеціально вони знали, що там немає ніяких військ.
Не знали, що немає.
Ну,
They
російські
didn't-
війська розуміли, що там немає ніяких військ, там приватний сектор.
Okay, the Russian military didn't know. Russian military knew that there is no.
Тобто
no
гради
Ukrainian
просто лупили
military
по
there.
мирному населенню.
So they knew that there was no military there, and the missiles were fired on the civilians. So they knew that there are only civilians on that.
Цій
place.
жінці, вона була професор, вона працювала в університеті, в Верховній Раді колись своїй.
This woman was just a professor. And
75 років,
she
вона
was
не
75
військова,
years.
вона була просто мирною
She was not
жінкою.
military. She was just a professor, and she worked many years ago. She worked
Вона
in
не
Верховна Рада.
успіла просто нікуди забігти. Я не знаю, її знайшли просто з обрубленими ногами сьогодні.
So she did not have time even to run to the shelter. She was
В
just
10 ранку
shot.
вони просто запустили ракети по пригороду Києва.
10 o'clock in the morning, the missiles were
Сьогодні мої
shot.
діти, вони теж живуть в Києві на Нивках.
My children also live in Kyiv. In
Я
the
маю
Nivke.
двох доньок 20 і 16 років.
Two girls, 20 and 16 years old.
Вони просто не сплять
They do not sleep.
вже 5 ночів, ідуть
For
обстріли на
5
Нивках.
nights they are not sleeping.
На інтернаціональній площі, де вони знаходяться, недавно знешкодили диверсійну групу, там стоїть фотографії є. Вони хотіли зайти в
On the
Київ.
square next to them,
Ідуть атаки з цього напрямку
diversion group
Чорнобильський.
were neutralized.
Мій брат, який не служив в армії, він теж пішов в самооборону,
My
і
brother, who
зараз в
did
Чорнобильській
not
зоні
serve in
вони
the army, now is in the
допомагають.
self-defense, territorial self-defense, and all people are helping.
Моя мама живе в Вишневому біля Жулянського аеропорта.
My mama is living in Vishneve near the Juliana airport.
Це міжнародний аеропорт, звідки літають
It's
літаки з Європи.
international airport that receives flights from all over Europe.
У неї 10-й поверх, вона
She
інвалід.
lives on the 10th floor.
У неї нема бомбосховища,
She has no shelter,
але вона бачить, як прилітають ракети, які
but she
бомблять
sees the
аеропорт.
missiles that are bombing the airport.
Вчора мені дзвонили люди з Нової Каховки, мої друзі з Києва.
The friends from Nova Kakhovka called me yesterday.
У них там свій завод, вони поїхали туди пару
They
днів
have
назад.
factory there. They went there a few days ago.
Зараз там стоять російські війська.
Now there are Russian troops there.
Вони просто ставлять гради на Херсон
They are just
два
putting
дні
the
назад.
missiles to Kherson. They are launching missiles to Kherson there.
Ці люди просто, я рахую, що це фашисти. Чому?
These people, I believe, are fascists. Why?
Тому що ці люди знають, що вони стріляють просто по громадському населенню Херсона.
Because they know they are going to shoot. They are shooting the civilian population
І
of
їм
Kherson.
просто, вибачте, я не знаю, як це сказати.
And
Просто вони стріляють по це не по військам стріляють, вони
So not
стріляють просто
military, not military are
по
their
домам.
goal, but the civilian, the buildings and people.
Ви знаєте, мене теж готували свій час в Афганістан в 87 році.
I was also prepared to go to Afghanistan in 87.
Мене забрали після першого курсу політехнічного
I was
інституту.
taken there after first year of the institute.
Мене забрали в Підмосков'я. Є Гороховецькі лагеря. Якщо хтось там росіяни чують, вони знають, що це таке, що це за
I
підрозділ.
was taken to Moscow. Як називається?
Гороховецькі лагеря, це
Гороховецькі.
Ільїно, це
Харковецькі camps.
зараз там готують ГРУ.
To be prepared for war, and on that now the GRU, the Russian intelligence is being prepared in
Це
this camps.
спецпідрозділи, які
Yeah.
знають, як воювати зараз.
Special forces, Russian
Я
special
звертаюсь
forces.
просто до тих людей, які воювали в Афганістані. І я готував сержантом людей туди в Афганістан, але я не пішов туди воювати.
So I am now talking to people who are. Ще раз,
Я не пішов туди воювати.
So I did not go to fight in
Мій
Afghanistan.
батько, він пам'ятає, як зайшли німці в 41-му році в Житомирську область.
My father remembers how Germans entered Житомир область.
Він був маленький, він 38-го року, йому було
He was
4 чи 5
small,
років в
he
41-му
he
році.
was 4 years old in 41. He was born in 38.
І він мені розказував,
remembers
як німці окупували Україну.
He remembers the time when Germans occupied
І
Ukraine.
коли хотіли мене посилати в Афганістан
And when I
в
was
87-му році,
prepared to go to Afghanistan in
я
87,
спитав, нащо ми підемо туди воювати з мирним населенням.
I asked, what we are going to fight there, the civilians.
Мені казали, що це комуністична партія посилає, що це буде наша 16-та республіка.
I was told that the Communist Party are sending us there to make Afghanistan a
Що ми
16th
повинні
republic of Soviet Union.
розстрілювати терористів, які йдуть, це їх назвали маджахеди.
We are going to shoot the terrorists, Mujahid.
Але нам казали, що ми повинні зачищати, як зараз російські солдати, міста, мирне населення, дітей, старих людей, я не знаю, цивільне населення.
Казали,
Що ми повинні зачищати градами. Я був коректувальщиком вогна
we
артилерії.
were told that we have to shoot the civilians.
Тоді не було GPS-ів, це був 87-й рік. Тоді було логарифмічні лінейки і зовсім інше обладнання.
There were no GPS, there were no technology to locate.
Нас повинні були закидувати на гелікоптері в гори, і ми повинні були висліджувати каравани з Пакистану, які повинні везли стінгери.
We had to go to the mountains and we just had to look for caravans for civilians that were going from Pakistan.
Багато хлопців писали заяви, промиті мозгами з Совєтщини.
Many boys were writing the letters based on propaganda
Вони
or
хотіли
Soviet propaganda.
виконувати інтернаціональний долг.
So they just wanted to serve internationally to Soviet Union.
Зараз ці хлопці, які приходять в Україну, я бачу багато молодих таких же самих хлопців 18 років, які беруть в полон.
The boys that are coming to Ukraine now, they are 18-year-old boys.
І я хочу, щоб їх мами дочекалися, щоб вони повернулися живими, не в гробах додому.
I actually want their mother to take them back alive, not dead.
Багато хлопців вже не повернуться додому.
Many boys are not coming
Вони
back.
пройдуть 200-ми гробами, цинковими
They're going
гробами.
as 200.
Я хочу звернутися до матерів Росії,
I am calling the mothers of Russia,
Білорусі, які зараз
Belarus,
їдуть в Україну.
of
Братські
the
народи.
boys that are now on the way to Ukraine.
Моя теща з Білорусі, з Гомельської області.
Like my mother-in-law is from Belarus.
Мій друг, з яким ми тренувалися довгий час по спорту, він літає на літаках. Лукашенко, він іноді літав і возив Лукашенко на літаках в різні
My
країни.
friend was next to Lukashenko in the planes, was with him.
У нього не вкладається в розумі. Там зовсім повна дезінформація,
So there is disinformation. In their heads, there is I see that they are very much under propaganda.
Я йому сьогодні писав, що сталося. Я йому розказував.
I
Він
was
сам з Києва.
I told him what happened.
Люди просто дезінформовані.
So I see people
Лукашенко каже, що їх військ
are under
немає в Україні.
propaganda. Lukashenko says that their troops are not in Ukraine.
Люди в Москві, багато які розуміють, які пишуть мені з Москви, з Пітера, вони кажуть, ті, хто розумні, вони виходять на мітинги, їх зразу замітають.
So people in Russia who see what's happening are being taken to prisons, are being taken away, so their manifestations are directly neutralized.
Ці люди просто кажуть, що ввели статтю і штрафи, якщо людина виходить десь з протестом. Зараз КГБшники стоять в цивільному одязі і замітають всіх людей.
So the police are in civilian clothes, so that people don't know that these are police.
Вони просили передати, що вони не знають, що повинно зробити. Може, коли обвалиться рубль, всі вийдуть. Я не знаю, що повинно.
They asked us to tell you that they don't know what to do. They believe that ruble will fall and Russian economy will die, and maybe then something will start moving.
Сьогодні наше government запропонувало, щоб матері з Росії приїжджали за цими гробами в
Our
Україну.
government proposed the mothers of Russia to come to Ukraine and take their
Щоб вони
the bodies
бачили
of
реальну
the
ситуацію,
son.
тому що я думаю, що там і не показують про ці гроби. Там
Because
немає,
in Russia they
їм
don't
розказують, що нема війни.
In Russia they don't believe there is war. They don't know there is war.
Тому я звертаюся до Росії, до Білорусі.
Therefore, I am calling on Belarus and on Russia.
Зупиніть відправку своїх дітей сюди на смерть.
Stop this killing of your sons.
Зараз бабусі в Чернігівській області, мені сьогодні дзвонили, вони зупиняють танки російські, цих хлопців, просто палками. Вони пережили фашистів.
The women, the old women of в якому місці, не?
Фашистські танки. Чернігівська область.
Чернігів are now stopping the tanks just themselves. They are coming next to the tanks.
Ви, мабуть, розумієте, у нас Чернігівська і Білоруська область має дуже мало контролюється, там ліси, там переходять диверсанти. Сьогодні я хочу звернутися. Ми пережили Майдан. Я був на Майдані, на першому, другому Майдані.
We lived through Майдан, through the first Майдан, through the second Майдан.
Ми йшли з палками і з щитами просто.
We did not have weapon. We had just
Ми не боялися куль, снайперів.
sticks. We were not afraid of the bullets of the snipers.
Наші люди будуть спротив оказувати. Зараз виїдуть наші жінки, наші діти, виїдуть з Києва, виїдуть в Західну Україну, в Польщу. Чоловіки стануть на захист України. На 40 мільйонів Україна. Чечня оказувала супротив, їх 1,5 мільйона Чечні було, десь 500 тисяч, мабуть, ті, хто брав зброю, дітей, чоловіків і стариків. Вони протистояли проти 140 мільйонів росіян. Україна не Чечня. Сьогодні зверталися брати інгуші, які тут живуть в Бельгії.
Today there was a call from English who live in Belgium.
Вони сказали, що брати мусульмани моляться по всіх мечетях за нас.
They told us that their brothers Muslims are praying all over the world for us.
Вони з нами, чеченці, інгуші, ті, хто стояли бок о бік там в Грозному. Наші українці стояли разом з ними, коли російська окупація була. І вони нас зараз підтримують.
So they are supporting us today.
Сьогодні Кадиров чи вчора 700 чоловіків хотів знову відправити в Україну. 400 чоловік написали заяву, що вони не підуть. Це не їх війна.
400 people of Kadyrov's people actually refused to go to Ukraine.
Я хочу звернутися до тих, хто ще з промитими мозгами не розуміє про це.
So I'm calling on those people who are brainwashed.
Щоб вони повернули своїх дітей, братів, сестер, не знаю, хто там їде, додому живими. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Вибачте, дуже емоціонально, може, але я сказав те, що хотів сказати.
Дякую.
Вибачте. Дякую.
Sorry for my emotions, just wanted to say everything what was on my heart. Thank you so much. I don't know whether we have anyone else. Дмитро, Дмитро, будь ласка, я даю повну свободу, 12 хвилин у нас є.
I have one question from his testimony, if I'm allowed.
Yeah.
Thank you. As he was referring Chechen fighters, Islamists, are they already arrived?
Чеченці вже є в Україні?
Are they already arrived? Ramzan Kadyrov and his group already fighting
Чеченці вже є в Україні?
in Ukraine or not?
Дмитро can answer this question.
Yes, because through some social media, I have learned that they were dispatched to fight from the Russian side. So it is not confirmed. So if you can confirm whether they are fighting from Russian side or not. Yes. It is the news from this morning today that they have foiled 2 days ago.
About the Chechens, it is not their war, that's for sure. Of course. And the second issue is that not Chechens, because I respect these people very much, but those who served to Kadyrov, they were very unfortunate in Ukraine, because in the first campaign in 2014, there was absolutely the same story as it's happened today. So that we were with a march, with music coming to Ukraine, and we were eliminated for in the first days of their entering the Ukrainian land. That was in 2014, and that repeated in 2022. So I just wish all the Chechen people would be alive, happy, and just read up from Kadyrov, but it's their business, not mine. That's okay. What I wanted to say, I don't remember if I introduced myself. I'm a journalist. I'm working for National News Agency of Ukraine here in Brussels, and my name is Dmitro Shkurko. If you have any kind of questions about Ukraine, you're welcome. I want to say a great thanks to all the Western community, just because here in Brussels, every day we have demonstrations of protest against this war, demonstrations supporting Ukraine. And if you visit any of such kind of demonstrations, you see there not only Ukrainians, not only Ukrainian diaspora, not only even Eastern European countries, there are Belgian, Italian, Austrian, every European nation, everybody supporting us. Then there is a meeting, the just car passing by, they're just beeping for in support of our action. And this is a very important signal for Ukrainians, because you need to understand that right now the situation in Ukraine is quite difficult. People, if there is an indiscriminate firing to the living areas, and people are dying there directly in their homes and in their streets. But the mood and the spirit of the Ukrainian people are very high. You would not believe, but they now are kidding to each other and kidding to their enemy. But people who are able to laugh in such circumstances, they are not, they could not be defeated by no way. And you know, I want to say one more thing. What is going on in there? This is not about Ukraine only. We're trying to cry about that issue since 2014. That right now we are fighting for our right to live freely. We are the revolution of dignity started from the Russian attempt to oppress our desire to be more European than we were before. But right now the situation is changed completely, because we were fighting all these 8 years of a war for the European values, which are so dear for each and every European, so that if there should be some kind of proven that European nation is European, it's already done. You know, irrespective what European Union is even thinking about that. We appreciate again the absolutely active and absolutely frank support we now receiving from our European partners, and that is heard. I can say you that every and each Ukrainians hear your voices, and these make them so strong. Okay.
A short announcement from me. You know, the protests are going on almost every day by now. and conferences and so on. We launched mobile application Leads Ukraine. If you want to join our protest, just see in the mobile application, download it, see where the next protest is taking place, and we will be happy if you come and support us and let politicians know that you are supporting Ukrainians. Like this, they change their mind quicker. Leads Ukraine. It's on Promotes Ukraine's Facebook page. One of the posts of today, you can find it. Thank you.